It's loading. Here we go.
Alt muted. Go.
What's going on, guys? Bart here with Tully Television. I want to thank all of you for stopping by, liking, commenting, all that beautiful YouTube stuff. Only together can we go straight to the moon, baby. Because every interaction matters here at Tully Television. Whether you're a new viewer, returning viewer, or future viewer, let us know how you feel about the content we're providing for you. But today, we're going to be getting into X-Men 97, Episode 4, entitled Montendo / Lifedeath, Part 1. Now, this particular episode was kind of split into two storylines that, they obviously wanted to take center stage. The secondary story was more of like the last 10 minutes of the episode. But Montendo mainly surrounded Jubilee and her birthday. She turned 18. Magneto, being the hard-nosed leader that he is, thinks that celebrating birthdays is insignificant because of the mission to, help mankind in any certain way, and there's no time for trivial fantasies like birthdays and stuff like that. But at the end, he concedes, obviously, for Jubilee to go enjoy her day. She is only 18 after all, and it's one of those things. Well, what are we fighting for if we can't enjoy certain days of our lives? This is the days of our lives. I actually preferred All My Children in General Hospital myself. You let me know what was your favorite soap opera. Sonny Corinthos, baby. I digress. So, Jubilee obviously wants to go to the arcade because she's a big gamer in this universe. Excuse me. I don't know if there's any recent comics where she's like, oh, I totally wish I was playing games right now. She's been too busy turning into a vampire, and then dying and coming back from the Hellfire Gala. So she's too busy to play video games in the comics. I think she's also a mother too. I think she's got a kid too in the comic books. It's wild. However, again, I'm digressing, going off on a path. So basically, her and Roberto, who I thought was going to kind of take off after episode 1, but has stuck around to give, the X-Men a chance to be with people who can understand him and, where he can feel somewhat comfortable with himself. And it does seem over the last few episodes that him and Jubilee are kind of approaching a possible romance, which we see come to a head in this episode. But basically, it's Roberto and Jubilee hanging out in the living room or in her bedroom, and The expert I told her like they had a bunch of surprises for her or whatever, and she noticed a game system in her room called Montendo. Now, I liked that the fact that they tried to incorporate almost every game system into this one game system. Montendo is obviously a rip-off of Nintendo, and the actual game system, or at least the load-up screen, kind of looked like a Sega Genesis type of system. So like they were webbing, interweaving the top two uh, game systems at the time. Because if you think about it, those games that were coming out were it was a big deal when it was a 16-bit, 32-bit game. It was like, oh my god, it's so much pixelation adventure. But we find out that this game system was left by Mojo. He is losing a lot of his energy and mass because of the lack of people that he can gain energy from. If you're unaware of who Mojo is, he is an interdimensional television programmer, for lack of a better term. And whenever people watch his entertainment, so to speak, he gains energy that feeds him and makes him stronger. We see Spiral in this episode, but we don't see Longshot, and we don't see Dazzler. And I guess that's okay too, because this really was more of a concentrating on Jubilee and her wanting to stay in the past a lot, because the missions in this video game that Mondo put her through, she was very comfortable knowing like how everything ended and stuff like that. There was this mysterious character that was helping her and Roberto throughout the adventures inside the video game, to come to find out that it's an older Jubilee that was initially made to find any glitches or bugs in the game system before Mojo, I called him Mondo, before Mojo actually got the real Jubilee to bring her in. But this particular version of Jubilee found a way to live inside the glitches of the game and become an older version of Jubilee, if you will. And she gives Jubilee an important lesson to learn, which is, yes, it's fun to remember the good times, to remember the past, but we only grow through difficult situations that may come, and we become stronger and smarter because of that, because of our ability to survive that, if you will. So it just as it's important to remember where you came from, remember where you're going, and how strong you can be to reach your destination, your destiny, if you will. And that motivates Jubilee. She beats Mojo. She gives Roberto a nice little smooch. So it looks like that, that relationship is definitely full bloom, or in bloom, full bloom, however you want to phrase it. And I'm quite curious if her and Roberto are going to be a couple of the founding members of the New Mutants team, or are they going to do Generation X, which is basically a team that was led by Banshee and Emma, and I was almost going to call her Emma Stone too. The White Queen, right? Emma Frost. They led a school in Massachusetts that Jubilee was actually part of. But the difference is Roberto was a little older, and he was more of the New Mutant slash X Force. In this universe, they're more of a similar age. The ages are like this. And so you can kind of pick either Generation X or New Mutants for the team that they can be founding members of. I can kind of see that as a show by the time X-Men 97 reaches season 2 or 3, depending on the want of that particular set of adventures. But the latter part of this episode then concentrates on Storm and Forge. This pretty much is kind of similar to the comic book story that goes through the Uncanny X-Men title, where Storm meets Forge. Forge is found out to be the maker of the weapon that took away her powers, but he's trying to do everything in his power to make her get her powers back. They fall in love. She gets mad at him. She doesn't get mad at him. And they kind of followed a similar format here. They seemed to be gathering feelings for each other. Forge is trying everything to make a device for Storm so he can have her powers come back. And, they're spending some time together. She is very vulnerable, and Forge kind of lets her know, like, he thinks that she's the bee's knees. We do see in the background a picture of him with Professor Adler, a character that Mystique had taken form of in the previous seasons, to make us believe that maybe he was working with the real Professor Adler, who was working with like the Sentinel program and stuff. So he was a mutant that kind of was like building weapons against and to be used against other mutants. And when Storm finds this out, she becomes very distraught and she takes off. And at the end of the episode, it seems like the adversary has gotten his clutches on her. It'll be up to Forge to save her and help her. And I think that then that's when he's going to be able to have the guns to help him with the powers, defeat the adversary. But we won't find out the conclusion to this story for a couple weeks. Because in episode 5, it seems like we're going to follow what's going on in Genosha and their quest to become an independent country. So we'll see how that plays out. You guys let me know what you've been thinking of X-Men 97. I think that in an overall sense, it's been excellent. The animation is great. I think that the stories that they're trying to present are fun and a unique twist on some old classics here. My only complaint, and I don't know if it's a complaint so much, I just wish that we had more episodes, so then some of these episodes didn't feel to be rushed so much. Like, I still feel like episode 3 was rushed a lot, and I heard someone commentating on that. Gee, they think that it's just because people didn't read the comic books Inferno, and I'm taking that differently. I'm a little upset that they didn't follow a lot of what was going on in the comic books, and I know that there were so many moving parts in the Inferno storyline, but they didn't even really get into the fact that Madeline was going to sacrifice her own child, and that Scott kind of wasn't involved with them and stuff like that. Like they changed that a lot, and you know that was my nitpick. Was not that it was such a fast-paced episode. I don't know, but again, you let me know what you guys have been thinking of this series. I think in an overall sense, the first few weeks of this series have been fun and not a disappointment at all. Very much everything I was hoping it would be, you know, for the most part, except for the little nerd nitpicks I have. But that's what I think, and you let me know what you think. And until next time, peace, Nookums.